Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So good morning, everyone, children. So once again, welcome back to revision lecture of class 9, subject Maths 2, chapter quadrilateral. Okay, chapter 5, that is quadrilateral. Okay, children. So in the from the previous 4 classes, we are discussing about chapter quadrilateral. Okay. So children, so before starting the lecture, once again, let us recap what we have done in our previous class. Okay. So once again, we will recap what we will recall or revise what we have learned in our previous classes. Okay. So children, so in the previous lecture, what we have discussed some basics of quadrilateral. Okay, and you are very well familiar with this chapter now. Okay, because 2-3 times we have done revision. Okay, so also we have studied definition of quadrilateral and also what are the types of quadrilateral. Okay, all these things we have discussed in our lectures. Okay, so what is quadrilateral, children? So quadrilateral is nothing but it is a four-sided closed figure. It is a four-sided closed geometrical figure. Okay, so whenever you see any closed figure, geometrical figure, then you can say it is a quadrilateral. Okay, isn't it? So also we have discussed what are its applications, how can we name the quadrilateral. Okay, and also we have discussed types of quadrilateral. Okay, so in the types of quadrilateral we have discussed uh, 5 types of quadrilateral. They are rectangle, square, rhombus, parallelogram, and trapezium. Okay, so all these quadrilaterals we have discussed in our previous lectures. Okay, so among that, parallelogram is the most important quadrilateral. Okay, it is a type of quadrilateral. Okay, so parallelogram, so in that it is a type of quadrilateral. What is the definition of parallelogram? Do you remember? Parallelogram, parallel. So from the word itself derives the meaning parallel. Okay, so parallelogram is a four-sided geometrical figure. Okay, it is a four-sided geometrical figure in which pair of opposite sides are parallel. Okay, so in a parallelogram, it is a geometrical figure in which opposite sides are parallel. Okay, and also we have discussed properties of parallelogram, isn't it? Do you remember? We have studied properties of parallelogram. On the basis of that, we have solved practice set questions. Okay, problem set questions we have solved. Yes, so what are the properties? Already we have discussed in the previous lecture, children. Okay, so what are these properties? Why it is what is the application of these theorems and properties? Okay, we studied till now. What are its application, children? They are used to identify the given quadrilateral. Okay, whether the given quadrilateral is parallelogram or not. Okay, therefore these theorems are called what? They are called test for parallelograms. So all these theorems and properties of parallelograms we have discussed till now. They are used to identify whether the given quadrilateral is a parallelogram or not. Okay, therefore these theorems are called test for parallelograms. Okay, test for parallelograms. Okay, so in that parallelogram we have discussed some quadrilateral, children. Which are they? Which are they? Do you remember? They are square, rectangle, as well as rhombus. Okay, so all these quadrilaterals, they are a form of parallelogram. And also we have studied properties of each quadrilateral, that is we can say each form of parallelogram: square, rectangle, and rhombus. Okay, so this, you already know that this rectangle, rhombus, and square, they are the different forms of parallelogram. Okay, they are the different forms of parallelogram, and therefore why they are called parallelogram? Because their opposite sides, because their opposite sides are congruent in all the three quadrilaters. Okay, so why they are called parallelogram? Because their opposite sides are congruent in all the quadrilaters, all the three quadrilaters. Also, their opposite angles are congruent, isn't it? their opposite angles are congruent, and also the diagonal bisect each other. That's why they are called the different forms of parallelogram. Okay. Again, apart from this, what we all learned, we have studied test for parallel lines. Okay. Apart from this, we have studied test for parallel lines. Okay. So what are the tests we have studied? We have studied adjacent angle test for parallel lines, corresponding angle test for parallel lines, interior angle test for parallel lines. Okay. In that we have studied that this adjacent angle and this corresponding angle, they should be congruent, then only we can say that the given two lines are parallel. Okay. And in case of interior angle test, the interior angle should be supplementary on the same side of the transversal, then we can say that the given two lines are parallel or not. So what are the application of this parallel test for parallel lines? So it helps us to find, children, it helps us to find or apply this test to whether to find out two lines are parallel or not. Okay. So this test helps us to find or apply this test to whether to find out the given two lines are parallel or not. Okay. And from this test, what we conclude, children? We conclude that anytime and any two lines cannot be parallel. Anytime and any two lines cannot be parallel unless and until the tests are satisfied or fulfilled. Until these tests are satisfied and fulfilled, we can't say these two lines are parallel. Okay. If the corresponding angles are congruent, then only we can say the given two lines are parallel. Okay. And also in case of adjacent angle test also, adjacent angles are congruent, then only we can say that the two the interior angles should be supplementary. Supplementary means what? 180 degree. Okay. So after that, another form of quadrilateral we have studied, that is trapezium. Okay. So what is trapezium? Trapezium, another form of quadrilateral. So we have studied two forms of quadrilateral. First is parallelogram. In that we have discussed rectangle, square, and rhombus. Okay. And we have studied properties of rectangle, rhombus, and square. The second form of quadrilateral, we have studied trapezium. Okay. So what is the definition of trapezium? Yes, children. So trapezium, when only one pair of opposite sides of a quadrilateral is parallel, only one pair. Okay. So only one pair of opposite sides of a quadrilateral is parallel, then that quadrilateral is called a trapezium. If both pairs are parallel, we can say it is a parallelogram. But only one pair is parallel, opposite side is parallel, we can say it is a trapezium. Okay. Is it clear? So these parallel sides are called the bases. Okay. So we have discussed trapezium in the previous lecture. So after that, we have discussed, children, isosceles trapezium. In the previous lecture, we have discussed what is isosceles trapezium. You have studied isosceles triangle. You are familiar with that isosceles triangle. What is it? If the two sides of a triangle are similar, we can say that it is an isosceles triangle. Similarly, a quadrilateral is said to be trapezium if one and only one pair of opposite side is parallel. Okay. A quadrilateral is said to be trapezium if one and only one pair of opposite side is parallel. So in this figure you can see ABCD is a quadrilateral. ABCD is a trapezium where AB is parallel to DC. Okay. So only one pair is parallel, another pair is non-parallel. Okay. So in that we have discussed, children, midpoint theorem and also the converse of midpoint theorem. So before that, let us discuss what is median of a trapezium. So what is median, children? Median is nothing but the segment, here segment joining the midpoint of non-parallel sides of a trapezium. The segment joining the midpoints of non-parallel side of a trapezium is called the median of the trapezium. So here you can see the segment PQ. They are joining the non-parallel side, midpoints of non-parallel side. So here midpoints is P of segment AD. P is the midpoint of segment AD and Q is the midpoint of segment BC. So PQ, segment joining the non-parallel sides of a trapezium, is called the median of the trapezium. Okay, is it clear? Okay. Then isosceles trapezium we discuss. Isosceles trapezium means what, children? The trapezium in which non-parallel sides are congruent. Non-parallel sides. So here AD, side AD is congruent to side BC. You can look at the figure. Okay. So trapezium in which non-parallel sides are congruent, it is called an isosceles trapezium. So here in a quadrilateral ABCD is a trapezium in, and it is isosceles trapezium because its non-parallel side AD and side BC, they are congruent. Then we can say such type of trapezium as isosceles trapezium. Okay. So here AD is equal to BC. So all these things we have discussed about trapezium, isosceles trapezium, median other trapezium. Okay. Then after that we have discussed very important theorem, that is midpoint theorem. Okay. So once again recall what is midpoint theorem. Very important theorem, children. So mostly questions are asked on this theorem. Okay. So midpoint theorem. What is midpoint theorem? So what is midpoint theorem, children? So in a triangle, if the line segment, so in a triangle, if the line segment joining the midpoints of any two sides, joining the midpoints of any two side is parallel to the third side and is half of it. Okay. So in a triangle, the line segments, here line segment joining the midpoints. So here midpoints P and Q are the midpoints of side AB and side AC. Okay, of a triangle. That PQ is parallel to the third side BC. PQ is parallel to BC and is half of it, and PQ is half of BC. Okay. So midpoint theorem is in a triangle. So in triangle ABC, the segment, line segment joining the midpoint of any two sides. So here P and Q are the midpoints of side AB and side AC, is parallel to the third side. So this PQ is parallel to BC and is half of it, and PQ is half of BC. Okay, is it clear? So whenever you are solving the question, you have to apply this midpoint theorem. Don't write only midpoint theorem, you have to state the theorem. What is the theorem? Okay, in the reason you have to mention it. What is the theorem? Don't simply write midpoint theorem, you have to write midpoint theorem. The line segment joining the midpoints of any two side is parallel to third side and is half of it. Okay. So after that we have discussed converse of midpoint theorem. Okay, converse of midpoint theorem. So in that, what is converse means what, children? Opposite of that. Okay. So what is it? If a line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle. So if a line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle, one side, okay, of a triangle is parallel to the second side, then it bisect the third side. So here if a line, here line is drawn, you can look at the figure, line is drawn, which path, line drawn to the midpoint of one side. If you consider AB has one side, so here midpoint is the P is the midpoint of segment AB. Okay, one side of a triangle is parallel to the second side, so it parallel to BC, second side BC, then it bisect the third side AC. AC means bisect means what? Divides equally, means here segment AQ is congruent to segment CQ. Okay, segment AQ is congruent to segment CQ. Okay, so this theorem states that if a line drawn through the midpoint of one side of a triangle is parallel to the second side, then it bisect the third side. Okay, means if a line drawn through one midpoint, through the midpoint of one side of a triangle. Okay, so one side, if you consider here AB in triangle ABC, AB is one side and P has the midpoint of AB, the line passes through it, is parallel to the second side, parallel to BC, then it bisects the third side. Okay, means bisect the third side means AQ is congruent to CQ. Okay, is it clear? So all these theorems, properties, whatever we have learned till now, all this we are going to apply. Okay, all this, whatever the knowledge we have gained till now, this we are going to apply and going to solve questions. Okay, I think everything is clear to all. All the theorems, all the properties is clear to all. Okay, so let us start with the practice set 5.5 children. Okay, in that first question we are going to solve. So all the properties, whatever the theorems we have learned, we are going to apply and solve these questions. Okay. So in first question, children, what is given in the figure? Point x, y, z. So in the figure, point x, y, z. X, y, z are the midpoints of side AB, side BC, and side AC of triangle ABC respectively. Okay, and AB is given 5 centimeter, AC is given 9 centimeter, and BC is given 11 centimeter. Okay, so we have to find the length of XY, YZ, and XZ. So see children, in the question it is given are the midpoints. Whenever the word comes midpoint, you have to apply this theorem, midpoint theorem. Okay, please remember children, whenever the word midpoint comes in the question, you have to apply the midpoint theorem. Okay, so in the figure point x, y, z. So here x, x, y, and z, they are the midpoints of AB. X is the midpoint of AB, y is the midpoint of BC, and z is the midpoint of AC. Okay, and we have to find the length of xy. Here xy, so we have to find the length of xy, length of yz, and length of xz. Okay, so let us solve the question. Okay, solution. So first of all, write down what is given. So here AB is given how much? 5 centimeter. AB is given 5 centimeter, AC is given 9, and BC is given 11 centimeter. So how to solve it? Let us see. Okay, now see children, in triangle ABC, we know that xy, here xy, in triangle ABC, xy, you can see here xy is half of AC. Why it is half of AC? Why? Because we are applying midpoint according to the midpoint theorem. What is the midpoint theorem, children? What is the midpoint theorem? What is the midpoint theorem? That the segment joining any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side and half of it. Okay, so here x and y are the midpoints of side AB and side BC. Okay, they are the midpoints of the side AB and BC. So by applying midpoint theorem, we are going to solve. So xy is half of AC. The segment joining midpoints of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to the third side. So here xy is parallel to what? Xy is parallel to is AC. Okay, xy is parallel to AC. So xy is half of it. So xy is half of AC. So xy is half of AC. Now AC is given how much, children? AC is given 9. So right here value of AC. So half into 9, that is 4.5 centimeter. So xy. So we have got the value of xy equal to 4.5 centimeter. Similarly, we can find yz. Okay, so again we have to consider triangle. In triangle ABC, yz. Now yz, now y is the midpoint of BC and z is the midpoint of AC. Okay, and here yz is parallel to AB. So segment joining the midpoints of any two sides of a triangle is parallel to third side and is half of it. So here yz is half of AB. Okay. So here YZ is half of AB. So AB is given how much? AB is given 5. So substitute the value, half into 5, that is 2.5 centimeters. So YZ we have got 2.5 centimeter. Okay. Similarly, we can find XZ. No, XZ. So here X is the midpoint of AB. Similarly, Z is the midpoint of AC. Okay. And this XZ is half of BC. XZ is half of BC. So half of BC. BC is given 11. So half of 11 is 5.5 centimeter. 5.5 centimeter. So XZ is equal to 5.5 centimeters. So in this way, we can apply the midpoint theorem and solve the questions. Okay. Is it clear? Okay, children. Next, see another question. See question number 2. What is given? In the figure, quadrilateral PQRS. So in the figure, quadrilateral PQRS and quadrilateral LMNR are rectangles. So here in figure it is given quadrilateral PQRS and quadrilateral LMNR are rectangles. Okay, where M is the midpoint of PR. So here M is given midpoint of PR. Okay, M is given midpoint of PR. So we have to prove that SL is equal to LR. So we have to prove this SL is equal to LR. That we have to prove. And also second condition, we have to prove LN. So LN is half of SQ. So LN, this is half of SQ. That we have to prove. So in figure it is given. What is given? Quadrilateral PQRS and quadrilateral LMNR are rectangles. It is given they are rectangles. And M is the midpoint of PR given. Okay. So we have to prove SL equal to LR. This equal to this. We have to prove the first condition. Okay. So let us see how to solve this question. Okay. Now see children. Given what is given? LMNR is a rectangle given quadrilateral. LMNR is a rectangle. Okay. Rectangle given. Means what? Rectangle. In rectangle, what are the properties of rectangle? Opposite sides of a rectangle are parallel. Okay. So in rectangle, opposite sides are parallel. So here LM is parallel to RN. Okay, because opposite side, they are the opposite sides and they are parallel in rectangle. So LM is parallel to RN, segment RN. What is the reason? They are the opposite sides of rectangle. Okay. Also segment LM. Now see here, LM is parallel to RN. It means what? LM is also parallel to RQ. Okay. So we can write LM, segment LM parallel to RQ. Okay. Because this R dash N dash Q, they are in straight line. Okay. So here LM is parallel to RQ. We can write RQ, but RQ is parallel to SP. This RQ is parallel to SP. Why? Because it is given that PQRS is also a rectangle. Quadrilateral PQRS is also a rectangle. Okay. So this RQ is parallel to SP. So from that condition, three condition we can write LM is parallel to SP. So LM is parallel to SP. LM is parallel to RN. So LM is also parallel to RQ. RQ is parallel to SP. So from that we can write LM is parallel to SP. LM is parallel to SP. Okay. Again, now see here. Now we have to consider triangle RSP. RSP. So triangle RSP. So in that, what is given children? M is the midpoint. In question it is given M is the midpoint of PR. Okay, M is the midpoint of PR. Therefore, this segment LM is parallel to SP. Okay, segment LM is parallel to segment SP. What is the reason? It is given. Okay, because M is the midpoint, therefore LM is parallel to SP. Therefore, we can say that L is the midpoint. L is the midpoint of SR by the converse of midpoint theorem. What is the converse of midpoint theorem? If a line drawn to the midpoint of one side of a triangle and parallel to the other side, then it bisects the third side. Okay, so it is given that M is the midpoint of PR. So LM is parallel to SP. So we can say that from by converse of midpoint theorem, we can say that L is the midpoint of SR. Okay, so we will write as L is the midpoint of SR. So it can be written as SL is equal to LR. Okay, is it clear? So by converse of midpoint theorem, we have wrote that L is the midpoint of SR. So it can be written as SL equal to LR. Okay, therefore this SQ is equal to PR. Take it as fifth condition, children. Okay, now see here, Ln is equal to Ln. This one Ln is equal to Mr. Now see here, Ln and Mr, they are what? They are the diagonals of a rectangles. Okay, and we know that diagonals in a rectangle are congruent. Okay, so here Ln is equal to Mr. They are the diagonals of a rectangles, and we know that diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Now see here, Mr. M is the midpoint of PR. So by midpoint theorem, we can write MR is half of PR. Midpoint theorem, M is half of PR because M is the midpoint given. Okay. Similarly, we can write Ln is half of PR. Why PR? Because Ln is equal to MR. Okay. They are the diagonals. Okay. So we can write Ln is equal to half of PR. Okay. Ln is given equal to MR. And MR what is given? Half of PR. So from that we can write half of PR. Now see here, Ln is half of PR. Here you can see PR. PR is equal to SQ. Why? They are the diagonals of a rectangle. Okay. PR is equal to SQ. They are the diagonals of a rectangle. And diagonals of a rectangle are congruent. Okay. Therefore, Ln is equal to half of PR. So PR is equal to SQ. So we can write half of SQ. In this way, we can find the solution to this question. Okay, is it clear? Okay, so second also we have found Ln is half of SQ. Is it clear, children? Okay, next question. Third question, you can see in page textbook page number 73. Third question. In the figure, triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle. So triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle given. Okay, and points F, D, E are midpoints of side AB, side BC, and side AC respectively. Okay, show that FED triangle FED is an equilateral triangle. So here in the figure, what is given? Triangle ABC is an equilateral triangle given. Okay, and point FDE, they are the midpoints of side AB, side BC, and side AC respectively. So we have to show that FED, triangle FED is also a equilateral triangle. Okay, so let us see the solution, how to solve it. So in triangle ABC, F and E, they are the midpoints of side AB and side AC. Okay, so by midpoint theorem, FE is half of BC. Okay, by midpoint theorem, FE is half of BC. Similarly, here D and E, they are the midpoints of side BC and side AC. Okay, so therefore DE is equal to half of, it is half of what? Half of AB. D is half of AB. So we can write DE is half of AB by midpoint theorem. Okay. In this, similarly, we can find FE also. Okay, FE. So here FE, they are the midpoints of segment AB and segment AC. Okay, and this EF is parallel to BC. It means what? EF is half of BC by midpoint theorem. So EF is also half of BC. So from this condition, all the three conditions, if you compare, what will get? DF. See first one, DF. FE. FE is half of BC. So FE is half of BC. Okay. So BC will write half of BC. Second condition, D is half of AB. So we'll write AB. And third is DF is half of AC. So we'll write AC. So BC is equal to AB is equal to AC. Since they are the sides of equilateral triangle. Okay. They are the sides of equilateral triangle. So BC can be written as half of BC. Half of BC will get how much? FE. And half of AB is DE. And half of AC is DF. So from that we got that all the three sides are similar. So we can say that triangle DEF is an equilateral triangle. So by using midpoint theorem, we can prove that we can solve this question. Okay. So we have got all the sides similar. So we can say that triangle DEF is also a equilateral triangle. Got it? Okay. Next, fourth question, practice set 5.5. So listen here. So in the figure, segment PD is a median of triangle PQR. So what is median, children? What is median? It is a line segment joining a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. Okay, midpoint of the opposite side, and it bisect that side. So here PD is the median, children. PD is the median given. It means it is a line segment joining the vertex to the opposite side, to the midpoint of the opposite side, and it bisect that side. So here D is the midpoint here. D is the midpoint of QR. Okay, since it is a given median. Okay, and point T is the midpoint of PD, and T is the midpoint of PD. QT produced further. So here QT produced further intersect PR at M. Okay, intersect PR at M. So we have to show that PM upon PR is equal to 1 upon 3. So what is given in figure? PD is the median. Okay, PD is the median, and T is the midpoint of PD given, and QT produced further intersect PR at M given. So we have to show that upon PR, PM upon PR is equal to 1 upon 3. Okay, so let us see how to solve it. So in triangle PDN, so here triangle PDN, here this triangle PDN. Okay, what we have to prove? We have to prove that M is the midpoint. Okay, in triangle PDN, we have to prove that N is the midpoint. M is the midpoint of triangle of PN. M is the midpoint of side PN. Okay, now see here in triangle PDN, this line TM is parallel to DN by construction, children. So we have constructed here, children. Okay, DN we have constructed here. So here TM is parallel to DN by construction we have got. Okay, so M is the T is given midpoint of PD given. Okay, so M is also the midpoint by converse of midpoint theorem. Okay, T is given midpoint of PD. So by converse of midpoint theorem, we can say that M is also a midpoint of Pn. Okay, so from that we can write Pm is equal to Mn. First condition. Take it as first equation. Okay. Next we will consider triangle QRM. This triangle QRM. So in that triangle, D is the midpoint. Why it is midpoint? So here D is the midpoint. Why? Given in the question, because PD is the median of median. Okay, PD is the median given. So here D is the midpoint of QR. So it can be written as D is the midpoint of QR. Okay, therefore this line DN, so DN is parallel to QM. Okay, DN is parallel to QM. Why? By construction. We have to write the reason by construction. Okay, so from that we can write N is the midpoint. So here D is the midpoint. From that we can write by converse of midpoint theorem, we can write N is the midpoint of MR. Midpoint of MR. So if you consider compare these two conditions 1 and 2, what you will get? You'll get Mn is equal to Nr. Second condition. So Pm is equal to Mn and Mn is equal to Nr. Okay, if you compare both the conditions, so you'll get Pm here. Pm is equal to Mn and Mn is equal to Nr. Okay, now see here Pr. So Pr is equal to what? Pm plus Mn plus Nr. Okay, so Pr is equal to Pm plus Mn plus Nr. Okay, Nr. Now see here Pr. In that we can write Pm is equal to, here you can see here Pm is equal to Mn and Mn is equal to Nr. So instead of Mn and Nr, we can write Pm 3 times. Okay, plus Pm 3 times. So Pr is equal to 3 times of Pm, that is equal to Pr upon Pm is equal to 1 upon 3. Okay, so we can write Pm upon Pr is equal to 1 upon 3. I hope it is clear to all. Okay, so next proceed further, children. So again we're going to solve practice set questions. Let us see first question. Question number 3. Question number 3. So what is given? If diagonals of a square is 13 centimeter, then find its side. Diagonal of a square is given 13 centimeter, then find its side. Okay, so very easy question, children. Diagonal is given, we can find the side. Okay, so here in order to find the side, which theorem we have to apply here? We have to apply here Pythagoras theorem. Okay, now see here, if we consider other two sides, x, okay, and this diagonal AC is given 13 centimeter, and we know that in a square all angles are right angle. Okay, all angles are right angle. So here triangle ABC, so triangle ABC is a right angle triangle. Okay, so by Pythagoras theorem we can find the other two sides. Okay, so let us see how to solve. Now see here, this quad is given, quadrilateral ABCD is the square given. Okay, AC is given, diagonal AC is given 13 centimeter. So we will consider the sides of the square be x centimeter. Okay, now so I just not told you in a square all the angles are right angles. Okay, so if we consider here triangle ABC, so ABC is a right angle triangle. So in right angle triangle we will apply Pythagoras theorem and we will find the sides. So here AC square, AC is what here? Hypotenuse. So hypotenuse square, the sum of the square of the hypotenuse square is equal to the sum of the square of the remaining two sides. That is the theorem, Pythagoras theorem. Okay, so AC is given how much? 13 centimeters. So 13 square. is equal to x square plus x square. We have considered sides of a square as x. So x square plus x square. Okay. So x square plus x square, that is 2x square, and 13 square is 169. Okay. So x square is equal to 169 upon 2. 169 upon 2. Okay. So taking square root on both the sides, so we'll get x is equal to square root of 169 upon 2. Okay. So x is equal to 169. Square root of 169 is 13, and square root of 2 is, we can write it as 2. Now we can see that, children, this 13 upon 2, it is a form of surd. Okay. So we have to rationalize it. Okay. So 13 root 2, we have to multiply numerator and denominator with root 2. Okay. So we will get 13 root 2, root 2 into root 2, that is 2. So 13 upon 2, that is 6.5. So we can write it as 6.5 root 2. So 6.5 root 2 is the side of the square. Okay. Is it clear? So here we have to apply Pythagoras theorem. I hope it is clear to all. Next, move on to the next question. Question number 4. Problem set 5. So in that, we are going to see question number 4. What is given? The ratio of two adjacent sides of a parallelogram. So here it is a figure is given, calculator. It is a parallelogram given, and their adjacent side is given 3:4. They are given in the ratio, and perimeter is given 112 centimeter. We have to find the length of each side. We have to find the length of each side. So let quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram given. Okay. So we will take the adjacent side. They are given in the ratio 3:4. We will take, let the x be the common multiple of this adjacent side. Okay. So we'll take it as 3x and 4x. And we know that in a parallelogram, opposite sides are parallel. Okay. Congruent and parallel. Opposite sides are congruent and parallel. So here AB is 3x. So opposite side is CD. So AB is equal to CD, that is 3x. Similarly, BC opposite side is AD. We'll take it as 4x. Okay. So we know that now we have to find perimeter. Sorry, perimeter is given. Perimeter is given how much? 112. So we have to find the side length of each side. Okay. From that we can find. So add all the sides of the parallelogram. We'll get the perimeter. So AB plus BC plus CD plus DA is equal to, perimeter is given 112. So AB is 3x, BC is 4x, CD is 3x, and AD is 4x. If you add all these sides, you get 14x is equal to 112. Okay. So x is equal to 112 divided by 14. So 14 eights are, okay, 14 eights are 112. Okay. So x value we have got 8. So from that we can find the side of each side of a parallelogram. So 3x is 8 3s are 24. Okay. And 4x, 8 4s are 32. Okay. So the sides of the parallelogram are of length 24 centimeter, 32, 24, and 32 centimeters. Okay. So in this way we can find side of each side of a parallelogram. Okay. I hope it is clear to all. Next, move on to the next question. Question number 5. Here what is given? The diagonal PR and QS of a rhombus PQRS are 20 centimeter and 48 centimeter respectively. Find the length of side PQ. Okay. Find the length of side PQ. So here diagonals are given, and it is given that it is a rhombus. Okay, and we know that in a rhombus diagonals bisect each other. Okay, diagonal bisect each other and they are perpendicular bisector of each other. Okay, we have studied properties of rhombus. In that, what is the properties of diagonals? They bisect each other and they are perpendicular bisector of each other. Okay, so here PR is given how much? 20 centimeter. PR is given 20 centimeter and QS is given 24 centimeter. So we know that diagonals of a rhombus, they bisect each other at right angles. Okay, they bisect each other at right angle. So from that, bisect means what? Here segment PO is congruent to segment RO. Similarly, segment QO is congruent to segment SO. So here segment PO is half of PR. Okay, because diagonal bisect each other. So half of PR is how much? 20 given. Okay, so that is equal to 10. So PO is equal to 10 centimeter. Similarly, we can find OQ. OQ. OQ is half of QS. Half of QS. So QS is given how much? 48. Half into 48, that is 24. So OQ we got 24. And also diagonals. What is given? Diagonals of a rhombus, they bisect each other at right angles. Means it is forming a right angle. Okay, here at the center they are forming the point where they intersect, they are forming right angles. Okay, so if you consider this, so this is right angle, children. Okay, triangle POQ is a right angle. Okay, right angle triangle. So in POQ, angle POQ is 90 degree. Okay, so in right angle triangle POQ, we have to apply the Pythagoras theorem and we can find the side of this PQ. Find the side PQ. Okay, so let us see. PQ square is equal to OP square plus OQ square. Okay, by Pythagoras theorem. So OP is given, we got 10. OP is given, sorry, we got 10. And OQ 24 square. 10 square plus 24 square. 10 square is 100 and 24 square is 576. Yes. So 576 plus 100 will get 676. And we know that square root of 676, it is square of 26. Okay, sorry, 24. It is square of 24. 24 square is equal to, sorry, 676. It is the square root of 676 is 26. Okay, so the length of PQ is equal to 26 centimeter. Length of PQ is equal to 26 centimeter. One last question we will do. I hope it is clear to all. Last question will do. The diagonals of a rectangle PQRS are intersecting in point M. Okay, so diagonals of a rectangle PQRS, they are intersecting in point M. If angle QMR is given 50 degree, so here angle QRM is given 50 degree, this angle, then find the measure of angle MPS. Means we have to find this angle. Okay. So what is given? Triangle PQRS is a rectangle given, children. Okay, it means what? We have to find the measure of angle MPS. This angle we have to find. Okay, now see here, PR and QS, they are what? They are the diagonals of rectangles, and we know that diagonals of rectangles are congruent. Okay, so PR is equal to QS. They are the diagonals. So we can write PR, half of PR, that is equal to half of PR, that is equal to what? Is PM. Okay, half of PR is PM and half of QS is MS. Okay, from that we will get PM is equal to MS. Okay, from so now see here PM is equal to MS. This one PM is equal to MS. It means what? If you consider this a triangle MPS, these two are the these two sides are similar. PM is equal to MS. It means what? It is an isosceles triangle, children. Okay, it is an isosceles triangle. Okay, and here angle QMR is given how much? It is given 50 degree. Okay, so here also angle SMP will be also 50 degree. Why? Vertically opposite angle. Okay, SMP is also 50 degree because it is vertically opposite angle. So now we have to find the measure of this angles, each angle in this triangle MPS. Okay, so here angle in triangle MPS, angle PMS, how much we have got? 50 degree. Okay, angle MPS you will take it as X, and angle MSP also we take it as X. Why we take both the angles as X? Because they are, these two sides are equal, means they are isosceles triangle, and in isosceles triangle base angles are equal. Okay, and by angle sum property of a triangle, we know that sum of all angles of a triangle is 180 degree. So in triangle MPS, angle PMS is given 50 degree, angle MPS is given X, we have taken X, and angle MSP taken as X. So 50, that is equal to 2X is equal to 180 degree minus 50. Okay, so you'll get how much? 180 minus 50, how much? 130. So X is equal to, X will get 65. So here angle X 65, so both angles are base angles in isosceles triangle. Okay, therefore measure of angle MPS is equal to 65 degree. Okay, so children, in this way we have to solve the answers. Okay, solve the questions. Okay, so whatever the properties, theorems we have learned, all this we have to apply, and we have to solve such questions. Okay, I think children it is clear to all. We have covered each and every questions, and we have discussed all the properties, theorems in this chapter, and I hope it is clear to all. Okay, I think we should stop here.